Hello again. It's me, your rest friend. um, I want you to think about when you were younger and when you would get bored. I'll tell you a couple times I was bored. There was one time in middle school, my best friend and I don't know what we were thinking, but we were like, we had, I had a bunch of Beanie Babies. Well, my mom had a bunch of Beanie Babies. And, this is embarrassing, but it's funny. We were bored. We took we took some of my bras and tied them to the ceiling fan and filled them up with Beanie Babies and just like hit it at high speed. I think about that all the time because we were so bored, but we came up with something to do. Fully cackled, entertained ourselves, had the best time. I think for like an hour or so we were doing that. It was so silly and it was just silly fun. Or way back in the day when there was like the room fan, the oscillating fan, and you would like get up on the oscillating fan and it would echo back to you. And like I did that with my sisters all the time when it was like really hot and we had the fan out. I think of those moments where had we not been bored, we wouldn't have had the urge to create something, whether it be silly fun, whether it be a piece of art, writing, something about, not boundaries. That's another conversation. Boredom is a portal. And I think one of the reasons a lot of people struggle to get to rest is how I'll phrase it is the resting part is actually quite easy, but it's all the stuff beforehand that kind of gets in the way. Is people don't want to be bored. People also don't want to be left alone with their thoughts, and they're kind of similar things. But boredom is a portal not only for your rest and restoration, boredom is also a portal for your creativity. When was the last time you let yourself get bored? I was sitting somewhere and I heard, it was kind of like solemn and quiet, and I heard, there were some young kids behind me, and their mom had an iPad out for them. I was playing some game or something. And I was remembering, like, when I was younger, first of all, my mom would have smacked me upside my head if I had a screen out somewhere, not paying attention to an adult speaking or what have you. She wouldn't have smacked me, but she would have given me a look that felt the equivalent of a smack. And y'all know what that look is. You know what I mean? But it made me think, and then it kind of made me sad because boredom is not a bad thing. I don't remember the quote verbatim from Westworld, but Anthony Hopkins' character was like, he was kind of playing with this quote that's like, people who get bored are just not smart or something like that. And he was like, I think people who can't get bored aren't smart. There's something really powerful with kind of like twiddling your thumbs, looking around. It causes you to pause. It causes you to be present. You start to take stock of things or notice little details in the space around you. Maybe you're outside and you see the way the kids play at a stoop, or maybe you're in a building and you notice a crack in the wall that needs to be fixed. Or maybe you're just staring at a blank whiteboard and a lyric comes to mind that you created or you remember from a song a long time ago that's just been lodged in here. There's something really beautiful about being bored, and often we don't allow ourselves to get bored, and I wonder why that is. Distraction and attention are hot topics right now. We have, hopefully this ain't distracting you from something, but I hope it's a helpful distraction if it is. But we have so many things fighting for our attention in terms of like real life stuff that's happening to us personally, happening to us as a country, as a planet. On top of sometimes we just want silly fun, or we want to witness silly fun because things are really hard for us, or we just want to watch an episode of Love Island because life is lifing, right? There's nothing wrong with distraction, but when we distract ourselves to the point where we can't even be alone with just our thoughts and be bored or be frustrated or whatever feelings are coming up for us, we got a problem. And I'm wondering for you, when was the last time you were bored? When was the last time, I mean like bored, like, ugh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I was in a waiting room recently and I didn't want to use my battery on my phone too much because it's kind of low. And I just like sat there. TV was going off in the corner. There were some magazines around me, but like, I don't want to touch those magazines. I don't know where those magazines have been. I don't know how long they've been out. I don't know whose hands have been on them. You get my drift. But also like, I was just like bored. I was like looking at the floor. I was looking at my shoes. I was like looking up. I waved at the person doing reception. I looked at the TV and grumbled at some of the things on it. And then I fell asleep, which was fine. I was the only person in the waiting room. It was safe. It was okay. But it made me laugh because I just let myself be bored. And that time of me being bored, I don't felt somehow, not just because of the nap, felt more restorative than time that I would have spent just scrolling. And this isn't shade because literally you're watching this while you're scrolling. You pick this to watch and I thank you for it. But how often do you really remember what you're consuming, what you're watching? I watch a lot of content and some of it is just pure entertainment. A lot of it is educational stuff, whether that be like a cookbooks or how to try this new technique or use this technology, how to write better, how to what have you. And I recognize sometimes, especially at night, I'm trying to get better. It's a constant push and pull. But at night, when I need to let my brain quiet itself, let me just put this on YouTube. Let me watch Trixie and Katya clips. Let me listen to Mateo Lane and Nick Smith bicker at each other. Let me laugh. Let me something. I'm not actively watching it. It really is like white noise. But there's something comforting about knowing like either that there's someone else there or there's like this noise that can drown out my inner thoughts. And I am remembering earlier this year, my old phone, like the battery swole. I didn't know that was a thing that could happen. I just one day was like, wow, that's crazy. I just had it on the charger and it dropped to 0. Let me put it back on the charger. Noticed anybody watching, if your battery functionality starts to drop, the battery is probably swollen. Do not plug it back up. It can explode. Please don't do that. Anyways, but I didn't have my phone for comedy of errors. I didn't have a phone for like 4 or 5 days. And when I tell you I had my Fitbit on when I go to sleep, I was asleep within 10 to 15 minutes every night. I slept well every night. Best sleep I got of the year was when I didn't have my phone. Everything was pretty much in my computer. I had to use my computer. I was more like open to the fact that I had to use my computer for social media and all this other stuff. And then when I got this phone, it took me a couple months before I brought YouTube back. I have Instagram on my phone and I think TikTok. I don't open them. Hardly ever open them. And I just kind of like trained my brain to like not be on social media as much, we'll talk about that later. Amazing benefits. But the reason I brought that up was because those 10 to 15 minutes before I would fall asleep, I was fighting for my life. I was so bored. I was sitting in bed and was just kind of like, oh God, there's nothing to do. There's no way to distract myself. I want to be distracted. Why do we want to be distracted? I don't know, but I just wanted to be distracted so bad. And I'd get so fidgety and I felt like a baby fighting sleep, honestly. Most days I felt like a baby fighting sleep. because I did not want to go to bed. I was like fighting it until my body was like, no, this is what we want. And I would go to sleep. 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. But I would fight it tooth and nail. And like, what is that? I don't know. I don't have the language for it. If you do, if there's like a study or something that I missed out on to better explain what that phenomenon is, like that resistance to just like being bored, being alone with your thoughts, what that is, I would love to know. But please put that in the comments. But I think the more I talk to people, particularly clients, when we talk about rest, prioritizing rest, joy, and care in our lives, we put off those things hardcore. We fight it. It's that 10 to 15 minutes of like, I don't want to be bored. I don't want to be left alone with my thoughts. I don't want to have to communicate what my needs are. I don't want to be present to the moment and enjoy myself. I don't want to have downtime that's actually restorative. I gotta fill it with something. Fill it with a distraction, fill it with an action, but don't let it just be space. Don't let it be rest. Don't let it be joyful. Don't let it be comforting or soothing. I gotta fill it with something, some distraction, some pain, something. And particularly the people that I help, I call her people who give a damn, bleeding hearts, who are either working in nonprofits, doing some type of organizing, doing some like hardcore work for a cause or community, trying to make the world a better place. And it's that same, it's a guilt, it's a discomfort, it's a resistance to just being. We've talked about the pause being the point, right? Learning to be present enough to enjoy a pause, and a micro pause in your day, a longer pause perhaps via vacation or just taking time off from your work, your weekend. We fight it so hard. You don't have to. We choose to, but you don't have to. And I just want to talk about, what would it look like in your life if you allowed there to be a little more boredom? Just a little bit. It might seem like a long, I don't know if it's like time distillation or something, but it might seem a little bit longer, but 10, 15 minutes to some of the best sleep that you've gotten this year simply by not being on your phone. A magical moment with a friend, whether that be like, that reminds you of something from your childhood, that gives you that same feeling. And it only takes a small amount of time being bored. Are you ready? Well, ready might not be the word. Are you willing to be bored to get rest? Are you willing to be bored to create? Are you willing to be bored to feel restored? Ooh, I rhymed. Just wondering.